So first of all, cheers.
Cheers!
Thanks for coming.
Thank you for
Good to
having
have
me. This is great. Your place is gorgeous.
Well, thank you. I
And
appreciate
just
that.
like, your other place, this is so awesome.
Thank you very much. So welcome everybody to our third episode of Exploring Creativity. And I'm with Samantha Welch from Summer Kitchen Studio.
That's it.
And
Summer
you
Kitchen
make
Studio. I am a potter.
Potter.
Right here in Ole, Pennsylvania. Yes.
You're on the table with the little spinny thing,
Yep,
like
the
in the
wheel.
movie Ghosts.
Absolutely.
Okay. That's
all day long,
just
every
throwing
day.
mud around.
Yeah.
Clay, I guess it is.
Sure.
Uh-huh. And how's that going?
It's been going really, really well. I am totally blessed with the community so far. I thank you so much for hosting this event, the art exhibit, on February 17th. And I've been super excited just to get my name out there with commission pieces and joining the community in that aspect.
Very cool.
So,
yeah. So Summer Kitchen Studio, are you in a summer kitchen?
Yes.
Okay.
Much like the property on Boyertown Pike that you guys have, New Spirit Old Soul. I have an early 1800s farmhouse right off of Main Street. And the summer kitchen has kind of an annex to it. So that is the space that I'm currently working out of and hoping to expand into the actual old summer kitchen that's been on the property.
Very cool. Does that have any brick oven in it also?
So ours, there was a fire that had ripped through it, and they replaced the roof. The internal fireplace ended up collapsing to some degree. Yeah. So we have kind of a joist system set up to contain the chimney, but everything on the lower level has been gone.
I have a book of how to put one together.
Yes.
If you ever want to build one.
Oh my gosh. If we had the time.
Yeah, I know that's what it comes down to. I hear you there.
It does.
You have a full-time job as well?
Actually, ceramics has been my full-time job.
That is fantastic.
I know. I just transitioned shortly after COVID happened. I think a lot of people took stock in what made them happy. You know, a lot of people were forced to make career changes and moves at that point in time. So I was fortunate enough that I had been a stay-at-home mom, just newly transitioned back into the medical field for a few years while my child was in school age. She started kindergarten around that time. So I went back to work and then COVID hit. And I was sent home, and it was the biggest blessing because I really took a lot of time to get back into the craft. I had started when I was a freshman in high school. So it's been a very long period of time that I've been working with clay.
That's really cool. So you've really, so how long is that now? No, don't tell me. I don't want to hint. It's been 3 years.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes,
perfect.
Yeah. Early 2000s.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Where did you start in high school then?
So
how did you get started in that?
have been raised in the Boyertown area school district. So I was at Junior High West, and they did kind of like a 2 to 3 week intensive, and we were able, like our whole class, we only had 2 throwing wheels. So we had to kind of circulate through doing a little bit of ceramics, a little bit of jewelry making, and then also either mosaic like tile or we could do stained glass. So we did that quick intensive. I was on the wheel for maybe a 45-minute class period. And from then on, I was hooked. And thankfully, the high school had a wonderful art department as well. And yeah, I've been doing it ever since.
So what about it really made you draw into it and love it?
I think one, it's about having great teachers. I learned a lot under Linda Osterberry, Linda Vorbach. She is a local potter here. She lives in Bali or Bartow area. And she was my teacher all throughout high school. A huge mentor to me. And what really attracted me to ceramic work and being a potter is the limitations of the clay is your hardest aspect. But when it comes to all other arts, it's really about perspective. And with ceramics, it's more of like what you see is what you get. It's like a functional piece. You know, you could have some sculptural elements to it, but mainly I throw functional art.
Usable.
So yes, usable pieces.
The cups, the bowls.
Exactly.
And let me just say that bowl you had up for auction, which I didn't win, I was really sad about that. But
yes,
those colors that you used in that bowl in that series, I was like, I'm gonna be ordering some of those.
Yes.
A lot of natural colors.
I try and stay as close to natural, although I've been recently pulled to those bright pinks and purples that I've been doing in some of my
the most
things.
recent one.
Yes, and I get pulled in that direction because it's bright, it's fun. This time of year is just a drag sometimes with the weather. So I really like to incorporate a lot of colors, especially now. But yeah, I do try and stay pretty natural in the application, so to speak, of the glazes. So
beautiful.
Thank you
Stunning.
so much.
You know, I've always seen a lot of different people who do that in their homes and whatnot, but something about the colors and the texture of your pieces really drawed me into your work, and it's one of the reasons I wanted to invite you as an artist to this.
Thank you.
And I was like, oh, that is my style. And so kind of selfishly, for me, I'm like, I'm inviting this girl on. And
it's I am blessed. I'm so glad that there are people out there who like the style of art that I do. I mean, just like you, I'm sure when you're on social media and having to push yourself in that regard, you are inundated with artists who do the same type of work that you do. You see it constantly.
It can be discouraging.
It can be.
You're like, they're so much better than me. What am I doing?
Right. Or just, you know, their style choices, and to see what other people are attracted to. Sometimes that puts a little self-doubt in you.
Unfortunately.
I know. So with color choices, I feel like it's safe because it's always a palette of some sort, you know, like
that's smart of you to do, though.
Right.
You're sticking to something that you can use and incorporate into a full setting.
Yes. It's something that's a little bit easier when it comes to playing with something. It's not as so much like a piece of art that you would hang on your wall. Like I said, it's a functional piece, so everybody has use for it. And then it's just picking your colors, really, in my mind.
When I was talking to Beth, and you saw that episode, I said, you know, there's enough people in the world, somebody else is going to like what you like as well. And that's fortunate. And so when was the first time you sold something?
The first time
Can you remember that? For me, shock and awe when somebody paid money for something.
I think that
not your mother.
I was gonna say Linda Stone. Yes. She would be like, here's $100. I can't take it for free. And it would be like the heaviest piece of brick that you could have, like just the rock hard bottom of a bowl, and she would pay $100
and you're like, okay, thank you, I appreciate it, but that's also, it's not maybe confirming that
she'll come over and dumpster dive at my house for seconds.
I can't believe you threw
this. Right, this has a crack in it. Why would you throw this in the garbage? Because it doesn't hold anything. Chips and pretzels. Everything holds chips and pretzels, you know. The first time I sold a piece, I will say, I think beyond pieces, I think what really touched me or really made me feel appreciated was my first commission piece. Producing things that were mainly just for my pleasure and something that really lit me up inside, and then I would like give it to someone for a birthday gift, or I did. Everyone got, you know, brand new mugs for Christmas. But the commission pieces are really what touches me, because somebody sees my work and goes, I think she can execute
what my vision is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that also pushes the boundaries so much more for me.
Oh, really?
As an artist.
How's that?
I think because so much of my time spent on the wheel and working with clay, it's really like for myself.
Right.
And I just so happen to have enough people who, like you said earlier, are interested in the pieces that I love to make, that they then appreciate them and want them in their home, right? But the commission pieces, I recently did 150 little origami. They looked like little origami cranes, but they were little flower pots that had a flat side. And the man who purchased them from me, he does wire wrapped trees with the crystals on the end.
Yes, I know what you mean.
Yes.
I love those.
And he wanted a small series of pots that he could use for like filing cabinets or people's refrigerator magnets. And this man goes up to the Kutztown Folk Fest and the fair, and he sells those pieces up there. And
little collaborative art piece.
Yeah. Yes. And the most touching thing about this man is he's local. His name is Ron Stauffer. And he was once a teacher at Washington Elementary School, which is in the Boyertown School District. So to have him come back to me all these years, after I've been out of school and say, hey, I have this idea. Can you run with it? And then be so appreciative of the end product was really touching to me.
That's really cool. And kind of reconfirming that you can do something and somebody appreciates your work. And I think it's really interesting because for me, I won't take anything commission.
Right.
Or anything that you tell me what to do. I have to do it on my own, and you either like it or you don't. The first time I had somebody reach out to me and say, can you buy me make me a house? I said, yes. And they said, well, how much is it? I said, I can't tell you what it will look like. I can't tell you how big it will be or how small it will be. And I can't tell you how much it's going to cost until I'm done.
Yes.
And I said, but you don't have to buy it. And I made it. I sent her pictures and she was like, awesome, but no thanks. I put it out in the studio, half an hour it sold. So
I totally understand.
But I like the idea of the fact that somebody is giving you something, and so it is challenging your artistic ability because you're like, now I have to try to make this. And so I'm actually sitting here thinking like, oh, maybe I should take somebody else's idea to challenge and kind of show me a different way. But right now it's so fresh to me.
Absolutely.
I'm
the world is your oyster. Yeah. I know, because in the beginning, a lot of times you just have those real creative juices. And then once you get into a spot like me, who I have given up a job and I'm trying to do this as more of a lucrative business, production pottery is really kind of the bread and butter when it comes to ceramic and pottery work.
Yeah, a lot of coffee mugs.
Yes. Yeah. So many coffee mugs.
But you always have a little flair to it. Like the bottom of the handle is flared out, the colors you use, a series of them.
Yes. I try, I guess that's kind of like me trying to find my signature amongst the whole entire process.
Because you still need that creative to get inspired, to want to do it and get through it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Once you're cranking out 100 to 200 mugs, it's kind of like, okay, sometimes I think like people who do more slip casted work.
I don't know what that means.
So you're taking a mold and essentially filling it with a porcelain. So it looks very manufactured, like
cookie
something
cutter, as
exactly
they say.
You would pick up from Target or Walmart. And there are a lot of potters out there, when you're inundated with it, who do work like that, but then concentrate on like the chemical makeups of the glazes and formulating that kind of
somehow.
Yeah, to make them different colors. So there's so many different little veins of ceramic art as a whole that you can kind of like delve
cool.
into.
You've been doing it long enough now. You've probably experimented a lot with those different things.
Yeah, I actually have. I mean, glazes a lot of times can come pre-mixed, so you're not having to really delve into the
That's
chemical
nice.
side of those things. But I will say, I, from my experience in high school, we mixed our own glazes, and that was a whole portion of our program there at the high school. And we got large, 5-gallon buckets of dried minerals and had to weigh it out and mix up these glazes. So when I first started getting into it on my own, I thought that's the only way that I have to do it. So I went online and I searched Google far and wide for all of these ingredients and bought them all. And now I just buy pre-made glazes.
Right. That was a long time ago. But nice to have the skill, because nowadays people probably don't have to do that, because you can go, labs are making these things mass produced now.
Yeah.
So
you can buy 5-gallon buckets and
right.
just dip every piece of pottery.
Which is nice when you're
It
making a lot.
is. It is. Now, your glazes kind of mix to create different effects. So that's always fun to experiment and play with. But I haven't had to get into too much of that.
So when you're getting to a place where you can make stuff for yourself, and you can kind of tap into those creative juices, it's such a different medium, because you are creating a form of some kind.
Right.
So what inspires you? What really gets you going and motivated? Where do you get your inspiration from to maybe get back in there and try something different?
I think that in every art, it's more of your mistakes that kind of hone your style, right?
Very true.
So I like to do these like very elongated, round, low-lying serving dishes. And in some of them, I like to do an altered rim. And my altered rims really started from me bumping one with my elbow or not being careful and jostling it to the side before the clay had set. So a lot of like those nuances as an artist or as somebody who creates, I think a lot of your flow is led by your mistakes.
And I've said this before, but the mistakes, or just getting in there and starting, is one thing, but the mistakes go, like you said, you go, oh, like when I was making the haunted houses, that's how I started. I was using reclaimed wood, and a lot of times they have that, fine fracture in it that you don't see, but then you got to cut the roof and it splits in half.
Right.
And I'm like,
problem solving.
But then I put it back together and I nail it together. I'm like, oh, look how it's kind of crooked. Like it's perfect for a haunted house.
Yes.
Like now I'm taking good ones and I'm breaking them because it looks better like that.
Right.
To your point, and I've liked your edges because they have a little fold.
Yes, it has developed over time. What wasn't intentional has now become something that I feel is a little bit more intentional.
Right, exactly.
So
do you draw inspiration, not from mistakes obviously, but are you looking at other people's work, or are you looking at Pinterest or something like that?
So some of my inspiration definitely comes from my teachings of like Mrs. Osterberry in high school. Her work it just feels like a comfort food to me. So I see her pieces, and mine have definitely elaborated or just morphed into my own over time. But she definitely was an inspiration to a lot of how I see form and prefer to see it. I don't like a lot of hard edges, and I felt like her forms were always very soft. And then, I mean, social media is a huge one. I can't throw one out there off the top of my head, but just coming across people.
Yeah, you never know. You can take it from anything. And I like that you didn't really say like, yes, I go and get inspiration from this specific platform or whatever, because I agree with you in that you just do it, and you almost create something new in doing it by making a mistake or by starting and just getting a feel for it.
Yeah.
I love the videos where you start and you get so close and then it crumbles and you're like, crush, let's do it again.
That is like probably 65% of the time. And I can't,
Right.
like, I don't feel comfortable posting all of my flops.
You need like a reel of just mistakes.
I could. I really could. Yeah, I mean, that's all in the pudding. You're just learning the limitations of the clay is really the only way that you can get good at ceramics.
Do it.
Yeah,
Just do it.
doing it.
You know, it's hitting on, this is the third episode, and so far that has been the absolute common thread is
Right.
just get in there and do it.
Uh-huh.
No one's gonna, no matter what class or what you do, nothing's gonna teach you more than doing it. And then you find yourself, right? And then you find your own groove and what you like and what you like to do. And even in creating what you like, it evolves.
Yes.
We talked about evolving in the last couple of podcasts. My houses have definitely come from haunted houses to a Liberty Bell.
I know.
But
that one is so
thank you.
cool.
And so you never know what's going to come out of just doing it.
Yeah. I mean, I think that COVID gave a lot of people the time to really delve into themselves, and we're kind of like in this new like awareness, self-awareness stage.
Oh, I'm with you. Yeah.
I kind of feel like people are starting to wonder about that part of them, and when you kind of tap into your creative side, it opens a whole new dimension for yourself. You know,
I'm jealous of the 20-year-olds now who are spiritual.
Yeah.
And more into the universes and the energy and everything being connected, and because they're doing it now, and this is just coming out for me, and it is kind of an awakening of this connection to each other. And then I was telling Sarah that we are connected to everything, and there's something about creating that just makes you feel like this is what I should be doing.
Yeah. I think it's just the sharing of the space or the frequency. I like tell all of my clients and customers that when you pick up a piece that somebody's poured their heart and soul into, like that is legitimately a piece of me. It's the energy that I'm putting into the work. It's the time. It's the consideration. And when it's coming from somebody in their purest form, you know, I think that's something really special that a lot of people.
And you're in the studio alone, you might have some music on, and you must really get into that flow state of you don't hear anything, see anything around you, and you're just kind of feeling the peace, literally feeling the peace, because you're working with your hands. You know, and Sarah was saying the same thing. You know, every piece of art, those who can paint, I'm not one of them,
I
but
know me either.
and because you really are getting their mind and that connection and what they're feeling in that moment. And I see these social media handles that are like earthy whatever, or universe is guiding me, or whatever it may be. And I think, and I thought, you know, I laughed at that before, and now I'm doing it going, oh, I get it.
I get it now.
Like, how did I start something with no plan at all, and then look what it became, and this is not what I had in mind. And then for me, as I said before, sorry for those of you who heard this already, but when I'm looking at a piece of wood, especially a reclaimed piece of wood, there's something like I see these lines, and it's not just the grains, but it's like, and I have the jigsaw, and I'm like, and I have this plan. I'm like, no, it's telling me to do this, and I do that, and then I get it together. I'm like, wow, that is not what I expected.
Yeah.
And I'm still not sure. And then I put it together. I'm like, it's perfect. It was meant to be. And I find those pieces that I, you know, really get into that state of flow and that connection with the piece, and kind of stare at it for a minute, where there's some kind of energy exchange, especially with a organic piece of wood or a piece of clay, where it's like you have to be honest and sincere with what you're seeing and feeling. When you follow that pattern that the universe is telling you to follow, it rewards you with that gift of that creation.
Yeah.
And that creation, I always say, I feel like we're meant to be creators.
Yes, I really feel almost exactly the same way. I feel in the medium of clay that there is um, a lot of instances where the clay is almost guiding me instead of me
Oh, that's
moving
great way
it.
to put it. Great way to put it.
It's more of a meditative state
Mm-hmm.
when you consider the position that you're in, and just watching the clay rotate. So I think I have my deepest talks with myself during those moments of creation. And I think that's why it's almost so important for people to kind of tap into that portion of themselves,
That's
in any form, as you were saying. It's important to just find a niche, find something that just lights you up a little bit just by visualizing it
mm-hmm.
and seeing it, and then try it out. Because when push comes to shove, being a creative or an artist is really just starting from one end and continuing to evolve to the other, right?
And who knows from where you started to where you are,
Yeah.
how different is
Yes.
it?
And it's quick. I hate to put it into terms of like gym or exercise it, or, like
Sure,
if you would just
you're working a muscle. Mm-hmm.
exactly, it is. It absolutely is. I think that there is something to having a creative eye instinctually. But I think overall, it's just
Well, that's a
honing
I,
your likes
I
and
love that
dislikes.
you said it that way,
Yeah.
and like you're growing a muscle, and because so many people, and myself absolutely included, are so afraid to start. I
Yeah.
don't know where to start,
Yeah. The
and
criticism.
your
Yeah.
self-criticism, sure, you're comparing yourself,
Uh-huh.
the imposter syndrome, I can't do that, that's not me. I was there too, and I was thinking about stuff for years now, and I don't know how. I do know how the haunted house came about, but I didn't. I was like, I'm just gonna make a haunted house because we're buying these and reselling them. I just make one,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh, someone bought it. Like, that's crazy. But like a muscle, it's growing, and it's becoming faster to do, and easier to do, and the creative juices, because it's still, this for me started September,
Mm-hmm.
and as Beth said, like, where I've come since then is completely different. And I had the opportunity to go through Halloween and make haunted house, and then go through Christmas and kind of make those kind of houses, and now I'm making these kind of witchy vibe houses.
Mm-hmm.
So
There's always going to be something.
what's next?
There's
It's
always going to be something.
I'm super excited to. I love what I'm doing, and I feel like I could do these because I don't think these are ever not going to be popular.
No, of course
Thank you.
not.
But I feel like I can't wait to see what's. And I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't have a plan for it. I didn't have a plan for this either. So I'm really excited to see where it's going to go. And I imagine you've come a long way. And
Yeah, just in the past year. Really, this 2023 was the year that I was like, all right, I have to, if I want this to be legitimate and I want to continue this as a business, I need to make those small little changes and really professionalize my appearance, and start getting my name out there as far as social media is concerned,
mm-hmm.
doing a lot of craft markets and things of that nature. So I don't know, it's
That's really cool. So
yeah.
do you see where you're going next? Do you have a plan for this year?
This year I have a bunch of little craftery markets. I just opened my Shopify in the
Oh,
beginning of
cool.
the year.
What's the
So
name?
it is Summer Kitchen Studio at myshopify.com.
Very cool.
So I have it linked on my Instagram, and
Awesome.
you and I are always sharing things back and forth. So with the new or the art exhibit coming up, it's been really a fun time to get to know you
Yeah,
and
thank you.
Beth,
Hmm.
and uh, be introduced into the space. So I thank you so much for all of that.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you can make it. I hope we can get your name out there. I just,
Mm-hmm.
there's the artists that I invited, yourself included. I just love their work so much, and I feel like they should be out there, and their things. More people should be exposed to them because they're all stay at home artists,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
they're all they're trying to find themselves and get their artwork out there. and we have such a beautiful community around here, and you've lived here your whole life, so you know it's a wonderful community. And being on social media and the internet, you can kind of reach beyond that. I like the art exhibit was kind of an idea, and I was like, I don't know, I got to sell some things maybe, but now I love it because it really forced me to get in there and experiment and make enough, because I told you I wanted to make 30.
Yes.
And I'm like, I gotta make 30. Like,
it's a huge feat.
I was going there every night after work and on the weekends cranking them out. And now I have the morning room table covered in moss and seed pods.
Yes.
Trying to put it together. But I love the pressure of having to create, and what it's done for me is forced me to create more and evolve faster. And I know that all you girls are putting stuff together just for the show.
Timelines, that is probably the most chaotic portion about the creative process. I don't have, some of my things are kind of haphazardly done, and I don't really have a timeline per se, but in those 2 weeks coming up to an event, it's like, all right, crunch time. I have everything in the kiln, everything's coming out, every second of the day matters. I'm out in the studio until 11, 12 o'clock, so I totally get that. Yeah.
So what can the folks look forward to seeing at the show? What are you bringing?
I mean, I have a lot of my functional pieces. I am just doing a bunch of hand soap dispensers, which I'm super excited about because this is the first time I'm offering those. Canisters for kitchen utensils, and I'm doing a little art installation, a little mixed media piece that I'm super excited about, but I'm crossing my fingers because at any point in time in the ceramics process, you can have a hiccup and things happen. So I'm crossing my fingers that all of
I'm very excited to see this work. So where can people find you?
So my studio is in Ole, but you can find me on Instagram at Summer Kitchen Studio, on Facebook at the same hashtag, Summer Kitchen Studio. And, I'll be posting through you guys in the next coming days. So long as you're following Jacob and Beth on Instagram, you'll follow me as well, or you'll find me.
Thank you so much for coming.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having
me. Guys, if you want to see Sam and her amazing creative artwork in ceramics, please come out February 17th to New Spirit Old Soul at 7799 Boyertown Pike. We'll be open for that show from 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. So you have plenty of time to get there and see your stuff. Sam and others will be taking commission work. If you have something that you want done and you see her work and you'd like to some,
absolutely,
you can buy some things while you're there, but you should also take commissions.
Yes.
And I'm super excited for the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Wait till you see what Beth has done in the studio.
Cannot wait.
It's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely,
Thanks for coming.
Jacob.
Nice to have you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great night.